Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 1 hour. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal says negotiations for a fair and balanced trade agreement with the US is in advanced stages. The UNSC approves Trump's Gaza peace plan. The Hamas says resolution does not meet demands. Israel calls for Hamas's expulsion from the region. US President Donald Trump is set to host Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House later today. Key defense and civil nuclear deals likely to be inked, including the sale of F-35 fighter jets to Riyadh. The US House of Representatives is to hold a vote later today on releasing all the sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein's files. The vote comes a day after Trump made a U-turn on the issue, urging Republicans to back the move. And major internet platforms including X, Gemini and ChatGPT are rendered inaccessible for users globally after web infra firm Cloudflare is hit by an outage. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has said that India-US ties are strategic, enduring and growing, with talks for a fair and balanced trade deal in advanced stages. He highlighted defence cooperation, rising exports, Uttar Pradesh's development and India's push for deep tech innovation as the nation aims to become developed by 2047. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Major step forward in their economic partnership. Addressing the 22nd Indo-US Economic Summit, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that there is no pause, no hiatus in the partnership, calling Indo-US relations both important and enduring. The Union Minister noted that negotiations for a bilateral trade agreement are progressing, with India firmly focused on safeguarding its national interest. He emphasized that any deal must be fair, equitable and balanced for both nations.
We are both equally committed to working to expand trade and commerce between the two countries. And when the deal becomes fair, equitable, balanced, you will hear good news.
The minister also highlighted the recently signed 10-year defense framework and India's new contract to source LPG from the US, terming them significant steps in strengthening economic and strategic cooperation. He assured industry leaders that both countries remain committed to expanding trade and expressed confidence that India's exports in 2026 will surpass last year's performance.
Story of Indo-American partnership can best be described as two trusted partners working together for the shared prosperity not only of both countries but of the entire world.
The Union Minister also praised the rapid transformation in Uttar Pradesh under Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, saying that the state has become highly conducive for business with world-class infrastructure and a growing aspirational population.
Uttar Pradesh itself has seen a dramatic transformation from a state where business and trade hesitated to even venture, given the terrible law and order situation, given the massive amount of corruption that prevailed before 2017. And in a short span of 8 years, that state has transformed into the most preferred investment destination.
Reiterating India's long-term vision, Union Minister said that the country aims to work with the best globally, benchmark itself among advanced economies, and achieve the goal of making India a prosperous and fully developed nation by 2047. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday met in the Kremlin with senior officials attending a meeting in Russia of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization heads of government. The SCO is a security-focused bloc which began as a group of 6 Eurasian nations. which has expanded now to 10 permanent members and 16 dialogue and observer countries in recent years. While addressing the meeting, Putin highlighted closer economic, trade and energy ties between SCO member nations. Our country also makes a significant contribution to maintaining stability in global energy markets. We're doing everything possible to ensure reliable energy supplies to consumers, despite external attempts to negatively influence supply chains. And we look forward to closer coordination among all SCO partners in the energy sector, in accordance with the energy roadmap adopted in Tianjin. Clearly, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization could play a more significant role not only in deepening sectoral cooperation but also in creating a favorable atmosphere on our shared continent for stable, sustainable growth and multifaceted economic cooperation. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in Moscow for this meeting, called on the Russian president along with other heads of SCO delegations this afternoon. Dr. Jaishankar is visiting Moscow, where he addressed SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting as well. And the minister also held a series of diplomatic engagements on the sidelines of the SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in Moscow. The EAM extended warm felicitations to Latvia's Foreign Minister Baiba Bradze, the Latvian government and its people on their Independence Day. Dr. Jaishankar said he is confident that India-Latvia ties will continue to grow stronger in the coming years. The minister also met Mongolian Prime Minister Gombo Javin Zadanshatar, where both the sides discussed ongoing cooperation and ways to further deepen their strategic ties. In another key engagement, Dr. Jaishankar held talks with Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani. The two leaders exchanged views on bilateral cooperation and regional developments. And the minister on Tuesday asked global community to display zero tolerance towards terrorism. Addressing SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in Moscow, Dr. Jaishankar also said India has the right to defend against terrorism and will exercise it as it has done in the past. Besides, the minister also extended support to SCO's reform agenda. He pushed for making English an official language of the grouping as well.
Officials from Shanghai Cooperation Organization countries gathered in Moscow on Tuesday for the Council of Heads of Government meeting. India was represented by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Jaishankar extended support to SCO reform agenda. However, he also pushed for making English an official language of SCO.
India strongly supports its reform-oriented agenda. We welcome centers addressing challenges such as organized crime, drug trafficking, and cybersecurity. As the organization becomes more diverse, the SCO must be more flexible and more adaptable. To this end, the long-delayed decision to make English an official language of the SCO must be prioritized.
Recalling SCO's founding principles, Jaishankar reminded member states of the bloc's mission, combating terrorism, separatism, and extremism.
We must never forget that the SCO was founded to combat the three evils of terrorism, separatism, and extremism. These threats have become even more serious in the years that have passed. It is imperative that the world display zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. There can be no justification, no looking away, and no whitewashing. As India has demonstrated, we have the right to defend our people against terrorism and will exercise it.
Established in 2001 in Shanghai, the SCO has grown into a pivotal regional body. As SCO countries evolve, India's push for reform and linguistic inclusivity signals a broader vision for a more dynamic and responsive regional alliance. Bureau Report, DD India.
At the COP30 conference in Brazil, India has called for developed countries to reach net zero earlier and deliver climate finance in trillions. Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change Bhupendra Yadav said the summit should be a COP of implementation and of delivery on promises.
India has urged developed countries to demonstrate greater climate ambition and honor their commitments while delivering national statement at COP30 in Belém, Brazil. Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change Bhupendra Yadav called for COP30 to be remembered as a COP of implementation and a COP of delivery on promises. The minister conveyed India's appreciation to the government and people of Brazil for hosting COP30 in the heart of Amazon.
Under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, India has demonstrated successfully that development and environmental stewardship can advance in tandem. India's emission intensity has declined by over 36% since 2005. India's non-fossil fuel-based energy capacity, currently around 256 gigawatt, accounts for more than half of its total electric installed capacity. An NDC target achieved 5 years ahead of this schedule. Initiatives such as the International Solar Alliance and Global Biofuel Alliance have become global platform for performing affordable and clean energy.
India's Minister Bhupendra Yadav also addressed the high-level ministerial segment on the International Big Cat Alliance COP30. He called for renewed global cooperation to protect big cat species and their habitats as part of integrated climate and biodiversity action. Bhupendra Yadav also met UK Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero Edward Miliband on the sidelines of the COP30 summit and discussed various issues related to climate. He highlighted the need for collaboration on climate resilience, particularly in vulnerable regions. As many as 18 industries and research institutions from India and Sweden will soon initiate projects involving value creation. Addressing the lead IT industry leaders roundtable, Bhupendra Yadav underscored India's commitment to collaborative, technology-driven and sustainable industrial transitions under the Paris Agreement. COP30 host Brazil on Monday extended negotiations into the night at the UN climate talks as they push for a rapid compromise among countries very much at deep odds. Bureau Report, DD India.
Also, in a strong appeal for global solidarity, the Indian minister addressed the high-level ministerial segment of the International Big Cat Alliance at the UNFCCC COP30 in Belém, Brazil. The minister urged nations to renew cooperation to safeguard big cat species and their habitats, underscoring that conservation must be integrated with climate and biodiversity action. The minister highlighted the transformative potential of the International Big Cat Alliance, noting that it can support countries through technical assistance, standardized conservation tools, capacity building, South-South cooperation, and the mobilization of blended finance and biodiversity-linked carbon resources. The 11th PHDCCI Global Aviation and Air Cargo Conclave 2025 commenced in New Delhi on Tuesday. The two-day conclave from the 18th to the 19th of this month brings together industry leaders, policy makers and stakeholders to discuss strategies for strengthening India's aviation, air cargo and MRO ecosystem. Speaking at the event, Union Minister for Civil Aviation, Kinjarapu Ramamohan Naidu, highlighted India's growth in the aviation sector worldwide.
Indian skies are today gateways to connectivity, gateways to commerce, and gateways to global collaboration. India has witnessed a revolution in the skies. Our aviation network has expanded from 74 airports in 2014 to 164 and counting to the present day. India has emerged as a strategic gateway for passenger movements, cargo transshipments, and MRO activity.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to visit Turkey on Wednesday to discuss the end of war without Russian presence. Calm but tense Bangladesh under tight security as Awami League called for a nationwide total shutdown after Sheikh Hasina's sentencing. And the United Nations says it lacks billions of dollars to feed the world's hungry. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is set to receive a grand welcome from US President Donald Trump on Tuesday. Both the sides are set to sign key defense and civilian nuclear cooperation deals, including the sale of F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. Trump is also expected to urge the Crown Prince to move towards normalizing ties with Israel as part of a wider Middle East or West Asian peace push after the Gaza conflict is over. It will be the first trip by Mohammed bin Salman, widely known as MBS, to the US since the 2018 killing of Saudi critic Jamal Khashoggi, which triggered global outrage. During a day of White House diplomacy, MBS will hold talks with Trump in the Oval Office, have lunch in the cabinet room and attend a formal black-tie dinner in the evening. The Republican-controlled US House of Representatives will vote on Tuesday on forcing the release of investigative files on the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, with a passage seen as all but guaranteed after President Trump dropped his long-standing opposition. Trump's reversal late on Sunday came days after a House petition gathered enough support to force a vote, a rare instance of House Republicans defying the president's wishes. Until the weekend, Trump and his staff had lobbied hard to prevent any further release of files from the criminal investigation by the US Department of Justice into Epstein.
US lawmakers are bracing for a major showdown this week as the House prepares to vote on releasing long-sealed government files on convicted sex predator Jeffrey Epstein. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is expected to advance with a rare bipartisan backing after more than 100 Republicans joined Democrats in demanding the documents be made public. Lawmakers recently released a trove of emails obtained from Epstein's estate. In one such message, Epstein wrote that Trump spent hours with one of the victims at his house and another referred to the president as dirty. The revolt forced President Trump to reverse his opposition, saying lawmakers should vote for release, claiming he has nothing to hide.
Let the Senate look at it, let anybody look at it, but don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. And I don't want to take it away from really the greatness of what the Republican Party has accomplished over the last period of time.
The call for release of files continues to gain momentum. Many more survivors have not intensified their appeal for the same. A new video has also surfaced featuring the survivors who have urged Congress to act. Many are addressing the media directly and asking for the release of the files.
So much pain, so much pain, so much pain.
I beg you to release these files once and for all. I mean, there is no valid reason for refusing to do so. So you can't claim that it is to protect the victims. I mean, when it is the victims, myself and the victims that have been calling for the files to be released.
If the bill clears the House, it faces a tougher path in the Senate, and Trump could still veto it, but public and political pressure for answers continues to grow. Many MAGA supporters have voiced their opposition to his stance earlier, which many believe played a part in Trump's reversal vis-a-vis the issue of the release of Epstein files. Anamika Pandey's report, TD India.
And the United Nations Security Council on Monday voted in favor of Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan, which includes the deployment of international forces. 13 countries, including the UK, France and Somalia, supported the proposal in the UNSC vote. Russia and China abstained from the voting. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday called for the Hamas to be expelled from the region after the vote. Take a look at this report.
The UN Security Council has adopted a US resolution detailing the mandate for the Gaza International Stabilization Force outlined in Trump's ceasefire plan. The resolution was passed with 13 votes in favor and 0 votes against. It paves the way for the crucial next steps for the fragile ceasefire in Gaza.
This resolution charts a possible pathway for Palestinian self-determination after the Palestinian Authority has completed the necessary reforms, where rockets will give way to olive branches, and there is a chance to agree on a political horizon. It dismantles Hamas's grip. It ensures Gaza rises free from terror's shadow, prosperous and secure.
But Russia and China abstained from the vote, saying that the resolution does not give the UN a clear role in the future of Gaza.
In essence, the Council is giving its blessings to a US initiative on the basis of Washington's promises giving complete control over the Gaza Strip to the Board of Peace and the ISF, the modalities of which we know nothing about so far.
However, US President Donald Trump hailed the UN Security Council's vote, claiming it would lead to further peace all over the world.
The Board of Peace, and it's going to be comprised of myself and leaders of other very important nations and very respected nations, and it's going to be something I think is going to be very important. It was just approved. It was just endorsed by the United Nations. It was pretty great. It's a big thing. I think it's one of the most important things the United Nations will ever do, actually.
But on the eve of the UN vote, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu restated his government's adamant opposition to the creation of a Palestinian state.
Our opposition to a Palestinian state in any territory west of the Jordan. This opposition exists is valid and has not changed one bit. I have been rebuffing these attempts for decades, and I am doing it both against pressure from outside and against pressure from within. So I do not need any affirmation, tweets, or lectures from anyone.
The resolution also welcomes the establishment of a Board of Peace as a transitional administration in Gaza. It authorizes the Board of Peace to establish a temporary international stabilization force in Gaza. Countries will contribute personnel to the force in close consultation and cooperation with Egypt and Israel. The Hamas rejected the move, saying it failed to meet Palestinians' rights and demands. Gautam Roy's report for DD India.
Now, the European Union has hailed the UNSC vote in favor of Trump's Gaza peace plan as an important step. EU's Foreign Affairs spokesperson Anwar El-Anouni said on Tuesday that the plan consolidates the ceasefire, enables humanitarian access at scale, and opens the way for early recovery, reconstruction, and institutional reform in Gaza.
Of the UN Secretary Council Resolution 2803 is an important step in advancing the comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. It consolidates the ceasefire, enables humanitarian access at scale, and opens the way for early recovery, reconstruction, and institutional reform in Gaza after 2 years of devastating conflict.
And we'll be returning to the story with our special guest a little later in the show. Now we're shifting focus to Europe, where after visiting France, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Spain, and he reached the Spanish Parliament on Tuesday as part of his European trip. Zelensky was greeted by Parliament Speaker Francina Armengol and President of Spanish Senate Pedro Roland. Zelensky is expected to meet with Spanish Defense Minister, and later he'll join Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. Further, he's planned to go to Turkey on Wednesday in an attempt to revive talks with Russia on how to end the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Spain has promised to roll out an unspecified substantial aid package for Ukraine, aiming to bolster Kyiv's air defenses against Russia. The Ukrainian leader's European trip comes amid a surge of Russian drone and missile attacks on Ukraine in recent weeks. And President Zelensky said he will visit Turkey on Wednesday in an attempt to revive talks with Russia on ending the conflict. Zelensky will meet his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara, where his main goal is for the Americans to re-engage in peace efforts. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will also visit Turkey on Wednesday to participate in the planned talks on the Ukraine crisis. Meanwhile, the Kremlin said that Russian representatives will not participate in talks on Ukraine and Turkey on the 19th of November, which is tomorrow on Wednesday. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov further added that President Putin was open to conversations with the U.S. and Turkey on the results of the talks.
No, there will be no Russian representative in Turkey tomorrow. For now, These contacts are taking place without Russian participation. We will await information on what will actually be discussed in Istanbul.
Russia and the United States have discussed the possibility of conducting another prisoner exchange. Russian President Putin's special envoy Kirill Dmitriev said in an interview published on Tuesday. A U.S. official confirmed his statement and said the U.S. side was receptive but cautioned that nothing was imminent. President Trump's administration earlier this year secured the release of Mark Fogel, a U.S. school teacher and former employee of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, and Russian-American ballerina Ksenia Karelina. In August last year, the U.S. and Russia carried out their biggest prisoner swap since the Cold War, with 24 prisoners gaining their freedom, including U.S. journalist Ivan Gershkovich and ex-U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. Major internet platforms including X, Gemini and ChatGPT were inaccessible for thousands of users globally on Tuesday as web infrastructure firm Cloudflare was hit by an outage disrupting internet services. Cloudflare, the network of which handles around a fifth of web traffic, said it started to investigate the internal service degradation around 6:40 a.m. ET. It has deployed a fix, but some customers might still be impacted as it recovers service. The incident seemingly prevented thousands of users from accessing platforms such as Canva, X, Grindr and ChatGPT as users logged reports with Down Detector. Reports about issues with Cloudflare had, however, come down to about 600 by 8 a.m. ET from a peak of nearly 5,000, the outage tracking tool showed. A sharp diplomatic clash has erupted between China and Japan after Prime Minister Takaichi suggested Japan's self-defense forces could respond if China attacked Taiwan. Beijing called the remarks a violation of the One China principle, while Tokyo insists its stance remains unchanged. Amid the escalating tensions, Japan has warned its citizens in China to take safety precautions, even as both the sides have launched strong protests. And in Taiwan, authorities are set to distribute civil defense handbooks to prepare residents for potential emergencies as cross-strait tensions continue to rise. DD India's Newshour reports.
In East Asia are already on edge. A sharp diplomatic clash between China and Japan has erupted into a heated war of words, one that now spans history, security, and the increasingly fragile status of Taiwan. China has lodged strong objections to Takaichi's suggestion that Japan's self-defense forces could respond if China attacked Taiwan, calling the comments a violation of the One China principle and a direct threat to the foundation of bilateral ties.
During the consultation, the Chinese side once again made solemn representations to the Japanese side on Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi's erroneous remarks concerning China. He pointed out that Takaichi's policy seriously violated the basic norms of international law and international relations and seriously undermined the post-war international order. It seriously violates the One China principle and the spirit of four political documents between China and Japan, and fundamentally damages the political foundation of Sino-Japanese relations.
Tokyo, however, says Japan's long-standing position remains unchanged. Peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait are vital not only for Japan's security but also for global stability. Meanwhile, Taiwan is taking its own precautions. The island will begin distributing millions of civil defense handbooks to households this week, a first ever move to prepare residents for emergencies, including the possibility of a Chinese attack.
This manual is the government safety information and response information for all people, and plans will be made so that every household can get this safety guide in the future. The Ministry of National Defense completed the Taiwan National Security Guidelines Universal Issuance Plan in accordance with the President's instructions and after the executive yuan's approval on October 23. The purpose of the gender distribution is as follows. First of all, it aims to strengthen the safety awareness of all people.
Beijing claims Taiwan as its own, while Taiwan rejects that claim, leaving historical resentments and new political shifts, including Takaichi's rise to power, fueling concerns of further tensions ahead. Nishchoy Roy's report for DD India.
Bangladesh is facing growing international scrutiny after a court sentenced deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to death in absentia. Global rights groups, the UN and major think tanks are questioning the fairness of the trial and warning of serious human rights concerns. The verdict has triggered political tensions at home, with the Awami League calling a nationwide shutdown.
International rights watchdogs and global think tanks have questioned the fairness of the trial that led to the death sentence for deposed Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. After UN expressed regret over the verdict delivered in absentia against Hasina and former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal by Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal, Amnesty International also condemned Monday's ruling. Amnesty International Secretary General Agnes Kalamard said the decision represents a grave miscarriage of justice, warning that it fails to ensure accountability for last year's violence and risks deepening Bangladesh's human rights crisis. This trial and sentence is neither fair nor just. Victims need justice and accountability, yet the death penalty simply compounds human rights violations, is the ultimate cruel, degrading, and inhuman punishment and has no place in any justice process. Human Rights Watch said the trial violated international fair trial standards. Its Deputy Asia Director Meenakshi Ganguly stressed that all criminal proceedings must meet globally accepted norms. Bangladesh court finds Sheikh Hasina, tried in absentia, guilty of crimes against humanity. While perpetrators should be held to account, international fair trial standards require a right to proper defense, concerns exacerbated by death sentences. Human rights spokesperson at United Nations, Ravina Samdasani, said the UN regret the imposition of the death penalty, which they oppose in all circumstances.
While we were not privy to the conduct of this trial, we have consistently advocated for all accountability proceedings, especially on charges of international crimes, to unquestionably meet international standards of due process and fair trial. This is particularly vital when, as was the case here, the trials have been conducted in absentia and led to a capital punishment sentence. We also regret the imposition of the death penalty, which we oppose in all circumstances.
Bangladesh remained calm but tense on Tuesday as security forces maintained a tight grip across major cities following the Awami League's call for a nationwide shutdown protesting Hasina's death sentence. Security cordons, checkpoints and barricades stayed in place in parts of the capital. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's interim government has warned all print, electronic and online media to refrain from publishing statements by Sheikh Hasina, citing national security and public order. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll be speaking with our expert guest on the way forward on the peace in Gaza after the UNSC vote on Trump's 20-point peace plan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit the southern Indian states of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. And IIT Delhi secures a top spot as India's best university in QS Sustainability Rankings 2026.
This week on Defence Dynamics, we unpack the post-Operation Sindoor shift in India's internal security dynamics. We spotlight DRDO's new AI-powered underwater system transforming the mine warfare. We examine the Army's latest upgrade in war missiles for T-90 fleet and track Indonesia's interest in BrahMos boosting India's export reach. Catch the complete breakdown this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. The United Nations Security Council has voted in favor of the Donald Trump 20-point Gaza peace plan, although both the Hamas and Israel seem to have problems with it. To talk about what it holds in terms of a future for Gaza, we're joined by our guest, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, retired former Director General Infantry in the Indian National Army. Good evening to you, General. What do you make of the prospects for the peace plan now that it has the UNSC's stamp of approval? Even Russia and China did not veto it, they just abstained.
Thank you very much, Gautam. I think at the very outset, of course, a very positive step in case if it is implemented well. Because the very thought of Hamas being disarmed or the entire area being de-radicalized as point one of the Trump's plan was the very first point talks of de-radicalization of the Gaza Strip to ensure that the neighborhood is good enough. Now that very first step itself is a huge problem because Hamas is not likely to accept disarmament because Israel's first step is that Hamas must be disarmed. Now there's a whole lot of contradictions in the peace plan. Now would Hamas be willing to accept disarming, number one? Would Hamas be able to give up its hold on the Gaza Strip? Now all that is very, very important. Now the Gaza Strip itself, Gaza Strip, the yellow line, the red line, the buffer zone, all of it, how each one of them will keep moving. Even if they have moved in well, the kind of strikes that are still on in Gaza, the things which are still not stabilized in West Bank, you have the Russians coming out with their own plan to say that, of course, they're abstained. Both China and Russia have abstained to say there was no clarity and hence they've abstained. The Russians have come out with a 10-point plan wanting to join the Gaza Strip with the West Bank. No, there are a lot of contradictions, and the international stabilization force which comes into Gaza also now would definitely would have people from Arab countries, the Muslim countries, but they themselves wouldn't feel safe fighting and firing against the Hamas because until and unless Hamas is disarmed, how would they move forward? So there is a lot of work. Of course, Mr. Trump himself seems to feel that he is in charge of the board and that he chairs the board, though the members of the board are not known as it. But then he claiming in his this thing that he chairs the board, and hopefully funds should flow from the World Bank, which is a part of the UN entity, and all that. Definitely, there is a good thing because out of 15 and 13 and virtual 13 who have voted in favor, who have abstained, and if we can see what one can gauge from what has been going on in Gaza Strip, I think Hamas, until and unless Hamas is disarmed or Hamas as an organization ceases to exist, the possibility of peace over there seems very difficult, extremely difficult, because even when all those, you see the yellow line, the blue line, as I talked about the green line, the buffer zone, all of it, about the 365 square kilometers of Gaza, 58% is still with Israel. 42% would go to them, to the Palestinians or to the Gaza or to the Hamas, whatever we want to call it. It's still not clear who would be the ones who would be governing Gaza at that time. So it's very, very difficult, but yes, a lot of hope and sincere hope, because obviously the Palestinians want to be free of the kind of problems and the tensions and the agony that they've been going through for 2 years. Netanyahu wants Hamas to be disarmed, and of course US wishes to play a lead role in ensuring that they are brought in peace in West Asia. So with that as the background, yes, but time alone will tell us would this peace plan be successful, because though Americans are threatened to say that if it doesn't, then the ceasefire doesn't hold, and if the ceasefire is not there, then again it's back to square one.
Well, there have been ceasefire violations, but so far it's still holding, so that gives one hope, but the crucial things that still remain missing and make it sound a lot more vague. Of course, there are no timelines as to when would things would be conducive so that Gaza or the entire Palestinian region, including the West Bank and others, perhaps could move towards self-determination. It depends on the Palestinian authorities' reforms, and what kind of reforms should it undergo has also not been specified. Apart from that, we don't know who all will be part of the stabilization force, or the board, or the committee, which the board is supposed to really direct, and the committee is then supposed to handle things directly. So still a lot up in the air, would you say?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot ambiguity, and hopefully with time, but I think the US was insisting and wanting to ensure that at least the UN Security Council stamps it, because the stamping of the peace plan would allow a lot of other things to move. Because the Arabs, the Muslims, everybody have to be taken on board. Each one of them must be part of the international stabilization force. The World Bank be allowed to give loans so that reconstruction of the Gaza Strip takes place. So there's a lot that can happen, provided there is no firing in the Gaza Strip. That's the first and foremost thing. No firing, and that no firing means disarming of the Hamas. Now, where are Hamas right now? Some people say that still a lot of them are existing in the tunnels. They have in the southern Gaza. So if that be so, then how would it happen? Even yesterday, today, you find a lot of firing going on, and the way the cars are dumping and killing people in the West Bank, the things that are happening on the Gaza Strip. So the tension, well, there will be no war, but I hope there is peace, and not that there is no war and no peace also. Then that is also equally, the very purpose. Yes, there may not be any firing, but Israel wouldn't feel safe under these circumstances. The most important thing is that if they want peace, if they want reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, and if they want a two-state solution, which is again a thing, because Netanyahu again and again insists that under no circumstances would he be able to coexist with Palestinians in the same state. So if that be so, it's extremely difficult, because there are, with a two-state solution, Palestinians to be given their right for a state. The real clear, what Hamas is seeming to feel, that there is no clear as yet a promise or even a way forward that there will be a Palestinian state. Now, if that be so, if there is no forward-looking promise of a Palestinian state, the Hamas doesn't find that way, Hamas doesn't see eye to eye with PLO, and the West Bank is supposed to be part of this international stabilization force, then some good Palestinians will form part of the committee to ensure the peace plan moves forward. There are lots of ifs and buts, and those ifs and buts can only be resolved if Hamas gives up its idea of fighting out at that point of time. Its best is to give up their arms. Reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, that alone would reduce the suffering of the Palestinians. That's part one, and very, very important, because even countries which have sort of gone in with them have stated in no uncertain terms that they are definitely not in agreement with the peace plan, because they would want a clear promise of a Palestinian state, which has not come as yet. But still they are hopeful that at least let the firing stop, let there be a ceasefire, and then let the political process thereafter start. In that context, yes, a big step forward, because after 2 years, Gaza, which has almost been flattened out, there's nothing that really exists in the Gaza Strip. If reconstruction can start, if the Palestinians can feel good, because right now, as what the reports come from there, from the UN Human Rights, that 9 out of 10 children are aggressive. Because of the last 2 years, what they've seen, 9 out of 10 children have started getting this disorder of aggressiveness. It's itself a very sad thing. And therefore, I think peace is a first step. And in that process, probably everyone, 13 out of 15 have voted in favor, hoping that the political process would start. So let's hope. And definitely hope is one thing, and Americans...
Yes, and it can't be done without money. And do you think that today's meeting is also going to be quite critical, the one that will happen in the White House between Donald Trump and MBS?
Yes, definitely, because that is the most important thing. How much Mr. Trump can release, how much can he prevail upon World Bank to give money for reconstruction. If there is a feeling of, yes, Gaza can go back to what it was and golden times of, not that it would actually become a Rivera with what Mr. Trump wants it. If that can happen with Palestinians in charge of it, then of course it's a big yes and a big go. But then if it is not the Palestinians involved in it and some outside forces involved into either the reconstruction or for that matter the stabilization or for that matter running of the Gaza Strip and nothing in the hands of the Palestinians, then it seems a little difficult, because Israel would much want peace, and all these 2 years of fighting has been to ensure peace. And if the peace doesn't come, then there may be no war. But if there is no peace also, that's also not good. So if there is no war, there should be peace, and then only the entire area, especially the Palestinians. I can understand the Palestinians have been fighting for their right in a Palestinian state, and the world accept a two-state solution. And if that is acceptable to the Israelis in a manner in which both of them can coexist, so be it, and it would be good. But then it seems very difficult to what we have seen since 1947 and now till date, that it's not an easy thing. But hope is the only thing that can take every one of us moving forward with American support, American finance, and the world hope hoping that they would be part of the international stabilization force with Arabs part
Yes.
of it. Muslims
Well,
part
American
of it.
finance, I don't know, it's not really clear where the money will come from. Donald Trump seems to be counting on the other oil-rich Arab states, particularly like Saudi Arabia, to contribute. I don't know how much money will the World Bank give. It will oversee perhaps the trust itself in terms of how the money is managed. But all this again is not specified. One can only hope that things work out. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, General Kulkarni. Now, aide to the President and Chairperson of the Maritime Board of the Russian Federation, Nikolai Patrushev, called on Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday. They exchanged views on strengthening cooperation in the maritime domain, including new opportunities for collaboration in connectivity, skill development, shipbuilding and blue economy. The Prime Minister conveyed his warm greetings to President Putin and said that he is looking forward to hosting him in India next month. And Prime Minister Modi will be visiting the holy shrine and Mahasamadhi of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba in Puttaparthi to offer his obeisance and pay respects in Andhra Pradesh on Wednesday. Prime Minister Modi will participate in the centenary celebrations of the Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. He will release a commemorative coin and a set of stamps honouring the life, teachings and enduring legacy of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Prime Minister will also address the gathering during the program. And the PM will also travel to the southern Indian city of Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the South Indian National Farming Summit 2025. The PM will also release the 21st installment of PM Kisan, amounting to more than 18,000 crore Indian rupees to support 9 crore farmers across the country. The PM will also address a gathering on the occasion. Siddharth Bharadwaj reports.
In a boost to sustainable farming practices, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the South India Natural Farming Summit 2025 in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. The three-day event, scheduled from November 19 to 21, aims to promote chemical-free, sustainable and eco-friendly agricultural practices. The Prime Minister will also release the 21st installment of PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, a government scheme offering financial support to small and marginal farmers across India. Under this, more than 18,000 crore rupees will be transferred to nearly 9 crore farmers across the country.
We are very much interested to start the organic farming all over India under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji is very much interested to cultivation all the crops under the natural farming.
Farmers praise natural farming as a sustainable and eco-friendly practice that promotes healthier living.
I am getting more money in the organic farming and natural farming because the land is developing 0.5% only carbon content. Now it will make 5%. So I will get more yield from the natural farming.
The summit, described as a first-of-its-kind gathering, brings together farmers, entrepreneurs, stakeholders from across different states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karnataka, along with leading scientists. With over 50,000 farmers expected, the event will also showcase indigenous technologies.
India is showing its way to the entire global community how without a poison we can take our food. So there is a very important message, and we are again, it is not only for the purpose of the region, and we must be thankful to our Honorable PM for creating an awareness about the organic farming.
The South India Natural Farming Summit 2025 is widely seen as a potential game changer for the agricultural landscape and the growth of natural farming in South. Siddharth Bharadwaj's report for DD India.
Now let's get you updates on the Delhi blast, the car blast case. A Delhi court has sent accused Jasir Bilal Wani alias Danish to a 10-day National Investigation Agency's custody. Wani, an active co-conspirator of suicide bomber Umar un-Nabi, linked to the Red Fort car blast. A resident of Kazigund in Anantnag, Wani was arrested in Srinagar on Monday for allegedly providing technical support for carrying out terror attacks by modifying drones and attempting to make rockets ahead of the bomb blast, the agency mentioned in its statement. The NIA also termed Wani an active co-conspirator who worked closely with Umar un-Nabi to plan the terror carnage. On Monday, the court remanded Amir Rashid Ali, a key accused in the case, to NIA's custody for 10 days as well. Further, the Delhi Police's special cell on Tuesday conducted searches at premises linked to the Al Farah University, its trustees and related persons and entities. In another development, Directorate of Enforcement has arrested Jawad Ahmed Siddiqui, chairperson of Al Farah Group, under Section 19 of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. India saw 9 of its universities placed within the top 700 of the QS World University Ranking Sustainability 2026, with the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, once again emerging as the country's best performer at the 205th rank. India is one of only 4 higher education systems which have more than 100 universities in the rankings, which feature 2,000 universities in 106 locations. The United Nations World Food Programme warned on Tuesday that severe funding shortages will prevent it from assisting more than one-third of the 318 million people projected to face acute hunger in 2026. The agency plans to prioritize aid for approximately 110 million of the most vulnerable individuals, requiring $13 billion, yet current forecasts suggest it may receive only half that amount. The surge in hunger, more than double the 2019 figure, stems from ongoing conflicts, extreme weather and economic instability. The WFP's largest donor is the United States, which under President Trump has cut foreign aid, including to UN agencies. Other big donors, including some European nations, have also shrunk their humanitarian budgets. In Dubai, Sagar Defence and Innovations for Defence Excellence, or IDEX winner, has secured the Accelerating the Autonomous Robotics Revolution Challenge under the Vista track at Dubai Airshow 2025. It has earned a $5,000 prize for its autonomous systems concept. The award comes as 15 IDEX-backed startups participate in the Dubai Airshow, presenting a broad range of technologies across robotics, space systems, electronic warfare, battlefield awareness and autonomous platforms.
IDEX was launched by Honorable Prime Minister in 2018. At present, IDEX has engaged more than 650 startups in the ecosystem. Today in Dubai Air Show, we have brought 15 startups from India who are showcasing their cutting-edge technologies. One of the startups, named Sagar Defence, has won the Vista Challenge as part of the Dubai Air Show, and they have been awarded with $5,000 prize money. In the next forthcoming days, we would be connecting our IDEX winners with investors, private industries, major defense majors and other private players, so that we can give them global exposure.
Sayut Singh of Sagar Defence said its pitch centered on Genesis, described as a boat-in-a-box concept built around an AI-powered technology.
We are grateful to be here at Dubai Air Show 2025, where they had a challenge called the Startup Vista Challenge. Challenge 2 is what we were a part of, accelerating the autonomous robotics revolution. We were grateful to give a 3-minute pitch to the grand jury and also been awarded for the same.
In Nepal, Tul Bahadur Kandel has been appointed as the Secretary of the National Assembly on Tuesday. President Ramchandra Paudel has, on the recommendation of the National Assembly Chairperson Narayan Prasad Dahal, appointed Kandel to the position in accordance with subsection 1 of Article 106 of the Constitution of Nepal. The High Commission of India in Dhaka hosted Pharma Connect on Tuesday, a networking and knowledge-sharing event bringing together senior leaders from top Bangladeshi pharmaceutical companies. The event showcased how India's global competitive pharmaceutical industry and Bangladesh's fast-growing manufacturing capabilities can work together to strengthen supply chains, access new technologies and deepen commercial linkages. Addressing the event, High Commissioner Pranay Verma underscored the strategic importance of the pharmaceutical sector in the economic partnership between India and Bangladesh. Sports now, and Indian Grandmaster Arjun Takaichi could not convert his advantage in the middle game and had to settle for a draw in the second game against GM Wei Yi as their FIDE World Cup 2025 quarterfinal heads to a tiebreak. Having played a quick draw with black on Monday, Arjun expectedly looked for a win with white but went into a steady queen to d2, which white defended well to ensure that there was no other result possible. Arjun will now begin the tiebreak with the black pieces on Wednesday and should be the favourite to advance in the rapid format. Two more quarterfinals will head to the tiebreak as Andrei Esipenko split the point against Sam Shankland after 37 moves, while the match between Jose Martinez Alcantara and Uzbek's Grandmaster Sindar Rove ended after just 25 moves, with the game lasting just 18 minutes. That's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.